Hey there, this is Rob Jolliffe, and it's time for another Ask the Experts from Sabre Limited. Let's jump into it. So today I want to talk about knowledge drift, which is basically how information can kind of be lost. It's applicable to Business Central or any other ERP system. A little quick blurb about myself. My name's Robert Jolliffe. I'm an expert in supply chain. I'm the owner of Sabre Limited, and I'm an expert in Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. Um, Many things Business Central, most things manufacturing related in Business Central. I'm going to make a couple of assumptions about the person viewing this. You probably have Business Central. You're a small, medium enterprise business. We tend to target manufacturing in our industry or our business. And so therefore, if you are a manufacturing company watching this, you might get a little more out of it. But this video is going to be a little bit more generic than some of the other ones that I do. And I think non-manufacturing companies might get value out of it as well. If you're interested in what I'm talking about here, if it piques your interest, you want to talk to me some more, get a little bit more advice from me, please don't hesitate to follow my calendar link. It's going to be down below in the description, along with some other blogs and other content that might be of interest to you. So please don't hesitate. Book a session with me. I really do like feedback about my video content. All right. So what we're going to get into is something I call knowledge drift. That actually a friend of mine cites and uses that term, but I'm going to use it here. And it's when knowledge just kind of vanishes out of your team. So let me explain it with an example. Let's say at some point in time in the past, you had bought Business Central and were using it. So you got trained, you had a Microsoft Dynamics Business Central expert partner come in and they trained your team. And you had two key people who were involved in that training. It may be one person from accounting and one person from the supply chain manufacturing side. And they were the two that got almost all of the training. A couple other people who sort of hung around and were involved, but those two people were kind of the key to, they picked it up the most. They really got good with the system. But over time, time's passed and those two people have quit or they've left, retired, whatever's happened to them, they're no longer present within the organization. And today, nobody knows how Business Central works from your team. Your team just doesn't seem to get it. They know what buttons to push, and they've been doing it for a long time. But they don't actually really seem to understand what the flow of the information is and how clicking the buttons causes things to happen or what's going on. But now the business changes. So you start off, you get trained, you have those two people, they really know how the system works, they set it up for the whole business. The people leave, the people who are left behind don't really get it. The business changes. So you need to change the way you're using the system. You have a new type of product you sell, you have something new, and the current staff can't adjust. So what they do is they basically say, we don't know what to do. And that's your knowledge drift. So your knowledge drift is that at some point in time in the past, you had the skill set within the organization, but as time has passed, that skill set has vanished, and now you don't have the skill set in the organization. So let me give you some more examples of like what the impact might be of this. Or maybe the symptoms of it would be a better way of putting it. So your staff are going to complain about the system. This is going to be one example that I see. Oh, it doesn't do that. We can't make it do this. No, it's no good at job costing, or it's no good at inventory control, or it doesn't have scheduling, or whatever their complaints are. They're going to be complaining about the system. Things you worked, assuming you're the owner who bought the software 5 years ago and you thought it was working. I thought we had inventory control, and staff are telling you no, it doesn't work. So they've started using Excel because as they run into these problems and they don't know how to overcome them, their solution is, well, I got to do my job. I got to figure out how am I going to do this. So let me do it in Excel. And that way I can at least get the product out the door. But and another thing, when you go to them and say, why are you using Excel? They're going to tell you, well, the system can't do what I need Excel for. So I'm starting to use Excel because the system can't do that. It can't do inventory control. So I'm using Excel to track the inventory. How do you fix it? And how do you confirm that the problem isn't that Business Central can't control inventory, or that Business Central itself is flawed and the staff are correct? First of all, did it work before? And, if things worked before, but nobody knows how it worked before, like the memory's been lost of that it worked before, and nobody knows how to fix it, that's a sign. Ask yourself, did anybody important leave? Was there a person here who was really kind of the super user of the system, or a couple people like in my example before, and they're gone now? And, just think back to that when you implemented Business Central. I know you have a lot of things on your mind, and Business Central wasn't one of them when you implemented it, but just try and put yourself back into those shoes. Now, I recommend you do Google searches as well to contradict what you're seeing, to find out whether there's a contradiction. For instance, Business Central inventory control, and you find a bunch of articles on how great Business Central is at inventory control, but your staff said we need Excel because it can't control the inventory. Okay, there's something wrong. Now, the other thing that you could do, and this is not something you can do internally completely, you have to spend some money on this, is find a partner who knows your industry. I do recommend, I'm always going to recommend on this channel that you find a partner who's really, really familiar with your industry. It tends to be, you tend to get better outcomes because you spend a lot less time explaining something to them. If you say to them, I need inventory control, and they're really familiar with your inventory, they know you have a lot of raw materials, and generally people in your industry buy them from overseas. They might say, are you buying things from overseas? They ask you the right questions, right? What kind of inventory do you have? Where is it? Whereas if you go to a Business Central partner who's more generic, they may not realize that in your industry, that particular type of raw material or that particular type of inventory management is necessary. And so they may give you slightly misleading answers, but probably any Business Central partner would be good. Have your staff show them 2 or 3 of the things that don't work, especially if you can find one of the things that used to work and now it doesn't work. Have your staff show that to them and see what their response is to that. Because if they just fix them really easy, like if you give them some of the easy ones, don't give them the hardest thing that's caused the most problem. That's like you could show it to them, but if they say, oh, that's tricky and it didn't work in the past and you need it fixed, that's different. But give them the easier ones to do, because if they can just really quickly fix these ones that used to work and address that, then that's your proof that you had some drift. They're able to fix those things. They're starting to work again. The users all go, oh, I didn't realize I was supposed to do that. That was the problem. So what do you do? This is a big problem for a business because you rely on the ERP system. It's a huge investment. You probably need to find a new power user. Sometimes you have hidden power users within your organization. And I have a lot of videos on this, but a power user is somebody who understands the job functions of the organization as a whole. Usually they've done a little bit of everything in the company. They've often been there a long time. They're really good with software. Like they just inherently get it, and they pick it up really quickly. And they are very, very open to learning. If you're doing an implementation, you want them to be open to change. But once you already have the system and it works fairly well, then and you just have this drift and you need to fix it, you want them to be open to learning, because that's really where you're gonna benefit the most. And remember, you're gonna need to give them some time. You're gonna need to get them trained. And that means they're gonna have to have the time to get that training. And so that's an investment. You have to invest in this person. What you want to do is you want to then have them work with the partner and fix the problems that have been caused by the drift. So it's going to be problems caused by the drift, like your users have actually stopped using the system correctly. This is a very common example. When I set up an item, there's certain fields I have to set up on it. Your old power user may have known those. And so your power user, when they set items up, they were doing that without telling the other staff. So there were no procedures or processes written down. Now the new staff don't know how to do that. So all the new parts, all the new items you create in the system, they're not working properly. And so they go to Excel, fix those types of problems, train some people other than just the one person so that there's a broader group of people who know it, write some procedure manuals. I recommend you establish a support deal with the partner. The Sabre approach is to do fixed fee monthly support contracts where you get a combination of just a support help desk and you get sort of that expert knowledge person that you can bring in and do a little bit of training throughout the year. Different partners do this different ways. Some just do it on the hourly basis. Some do it like we do on a fixed fee. I recommend the fixed fee also because then your team aren't worried about what's it going to cost. If your team is worried about what every time I call, they're going to charge us and the boss is going to ask me about it, they'll stop calling. And that's also a little bit risky. So I think that if you do this correctly, you're probably going to save a ton because it's very inefficient for people to be using Excel to do things. It's very inefficient for people to not be able to rely on the ERP. You spend a lot of money on it. It's gonna save you a ton versus the option, which is just continue to suffer, continue to be inefficient, continue to have these problems. You'll end up hiring a new person if you're not careful. So, please subscribe and follow our channel. We have new videos every week. I do these Ask the Expert videos not as often as every week, but I do release them a few times a year in batches. Click the subscribe button, please. We'd love to get your subscription, and please also don't hesitate to like and give us some feedback on our videos, especially this video. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. If you'd like to contact us, here's our contact information. And probably there's going to be a couple of videos that'll show up in different places here that Google or YouTube is going to suggest that you watch. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching and have a great day.